Hi, Tish here. It is time to tour with Tish. I just got back from a trip to Washington, D.C. with my students. Have you ever wondered what Washington, D.C. is like? Like, where do you go? There's so much to see. Well, follow along on our trip and it'll give you a great idea of the big highlights that my students loved. Now, this is about the 10th year that I have gone on trips with a tour company called School Tours of America. I highly recommend them. They take very good care of me. I have been to New York, Philadelphia, Virginia, Boston, and DC with this tour company. They are amazing, and my tour guide for DC is a man named Bernie, and he is absolutely incredible. My students and I learned so much on our trips. So buckle up, sit tight, and let me show you all around Washington, D.C. on our school trip. And remember, watch to the end and see Chachi Mari. Our first stop on our school tour is Fort McHenry, where Francis Scott Key penned the Star-Spangled Banner. Let's go check it out. When you arrive at Fort McHenry, you'll see a really cool video, and then you can go and explore all around the grounds. It's really fun to walk up to the actual place where the flag flew during the Battle of Fort McHenry. And as you look over, you can see where the cargo ship hit the bridge named Francis Scott Key Bridge, because that's right where Francis Scott Key was when he penned the Star-Spangled Banner and he watched the bombs bursting in air. Then you'll walk right into Fort McHenry. You know, this fort was not a military fort. It really was for families and a few military personnel, which made the conflict with Britain even that much more incredible during the War of 1812. They were so tough in keeping this flag up. We got to pull out the whole big flag from the Battle of Fort McHenry. This is so awesome. The rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air. They proved through the night that our flag was still there. We are now at the Kennedy Center, touring around and seeing a great view of Washington, D.C. at sunset. The Kennedy Center is a wonderful place to take your students. You can learn all about John F. Kennedy, and you can even see some different performances there. We are here at the Memorial Tour. We're going up to the Jefferson Memorial with our glow sticks. Nighttime Memorial Tour. Unbelievable. Next stop, FDR Memorial, and then the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial. We are on day 2. We are at the Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. Let's go check it out. This is the 3rd year that I've gone on a tour of the Naval Academy with my students. It's a free tour. You just need to tip the tour guides, and they give an excellent tour. You have to call ahead of time in order to make a reservation. When my students go on this tour, they become very interested in possibly going to a military academy for college. We get to walk all over and see the dorms and see the eating areas and also the chapel where Revolutionary naval hero John Paul Jones is buried in the bottom of the chapel there on the military academy. One of the best things that we saw was the formation at lunchtime for all the freshmen. They had to be accounted for. March into the cafeteria with the song Anchors Away. It was so awesome to see. Once you're done with the Naval Academy, pop on over to Annapolis, Maryland, and have a wonderful time shopping. We had lunch right here at Buddy's Crabs and Ribs. And then we headed over to the American History Museum. One of the highlights always at the American History Museum is to see the actual flag that flew at Fort McHenry, where we just were a few days ago. The kids love that, but there's so much to see. But this year, our highlight was meeting a little lady named Rosie. Can you believe it? She was a riveter in World War II, and she just received the Congressional Medal of Honor. What a blessing to meet her. Did you go to the White House?
We've been to the camp. We've been all over.
Oh my, look, you must be exhausted. We are now going into the Ford's Theater where Lincoln was assassinated for a really cool show. This is what the inside of the Ford Theater looks like, and up in that balcony is where Lincoln was assassinated. Now is day 3, and we are going on a Capitol tour. No one's having fun or anything. When you go on a Capitol tour, you'll be given headphones and we'll go all around the Capitol and hear all of the history of the different paintings and the different statues that are there in the Capitol. When you're finished with the Capitol tour, then we head over to the Library of Congress. It is my favorite building in Washington, D.C. There you can see the original Gutenberg Bible. You can see Thomas Jefferson's collection of books. It is beautiful, like a palace, and there's so much that you can learn about all of the little statues and things that are represented in the Library of Congress. Next, we walked over to the Holocaust Museum. Please give yourself 3 hours to go through that museum. It's a little frustrating if you don't have enough time, and there's so much there to really see and contemplate. On day 4, we went around touring DC, many hot spots, and then ended up at Arlington National Cemetery, where we were honored to lay a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. We also toured Robert E. Lee's house called the Custis House up on the hill above the John F. Kennedy Memorial. Arlington is a must-see. You must see the changing of the guard. You must pay your respects. It is incredible and highly worth the time in D.C. Tish here. We are in Mount Vernon. Let's go check it out. This is our last day, and we are pretty sad that this wonderful trip is almost over, but we love Mount Vernon. It is situated on the Potomac River, where we just were on the dancing cruise the night before, and we loved seeing the house. We loved the flag presentation that Bernie did. We walked all through and saw the animals, saw Washington's tomb, and the slave quarters, which are just fascinating. Every time we could, we would go to another memorial to explore. Bernie would take us to the Vietnam Memorial and teach us all about that, the Nurses Memorial, and then when we couldn't take any more memorials, we just had to go to another museum. And at this last day, we went to the National Archives and the Natural History Museum. After the National Archives, the kids just had to break out in song about the Constitution.
Blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
So all in all, it It was a wonderful trip. I hope you enjoyed hearing all about it. And here's my students.
School time!